Ellari Namaskara. Dear students, let's learn today what are directive principles, what is government, what are the important organs of the government. What are directive principles or explain the directive principles of state policy is asked in the examination many times. So it's a very important topic, dear students. Let us study it in detail. The directive principles are borrowed from Ireland country constitution. As we all have studied, our Indian constitution has framed by studying the different constitutions of different countries, and which is the best of different constitutions from different countries is borrowed into our Indian constitution. And here the directive principles are borrowed, they are taken from Ireland country constitution. Directive principles are guiding principles for government to make laws and policies. So what they do, they guide our government, both central government and state government, to make the laws and policies, and also to establish a welfare state. Welfare state means welfare nation. ಸೊ ಒಂದು ದೇಶ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರಬೇಕು, ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತ ಜನರು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರಬೇಕು, ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಏನು ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ಸ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ದೋಸ್ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ಸ್. ಅಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಟು ಮೇಕ್ ಅವರ್ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಐಡಿಯಲ್ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ, ಒಂದು ಮಾದರಿ ದೇಶವಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶವನ್ನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ some principles our government has to follow. So those principles are called as a directive principles. Okay, what are the objectives of directive principles? What is the purpose of using the directive principles here? First one, to set out positive directions or instructions to be followed by the government. So these principles actually give the positive directions or instructions to be followed by whom? By the government. Both central government and state government should follow these instructions to move in a positive direction. Next, to establish the social and economic and political democracy, as we have seen in the preamble of our Indian Constitution, to get the social, economical and political justice, equality. So those all are necessary for the welfare of the state, and this should be established. So this is also one of the objective of the directive principle. Next, to become a reminder to central and state government to make laws and formulate the policies. So actually the government will make the rules and regulations, laws and policies. So when they are making the rules and regulations, so if they make any mistakes, then the directive principles will act as a reminder. That will correct the government in case if when it is going wrong. So it is known as to become a reminder for both the central and state government to make the laws and formulate the policies. I think it is clear for you, students. Directive principles, as we have studied, these are the ideals to be implemented by the government. Second, they are positive directions or instructions to be followed for running the government and for making laws. So these actually give the directions or instructions for the government how to make the laws and policies. Then establish social and economic democracy. This is very important. Socially, economically, there should be a justice for every citizen of India, and that democracy should be obtained. These are the bedrock for the welfare state. The state means here nation only, for the well-being of the nation. So these will act as a bedrock. These have to be implemented in stage wise, not suddenly. So this is also very important here. So suddenly it cannot be implemented, the directive principles. Step by step, these can be implemented by the government. They are not legally enforceable in courts of law. Suppose if the government does not follow the directive principles, then they cannot be enforced legally in any courts of law. They cannot be questioned in the court of law. They can be questioned to the directly ministers who is not doing the work. The minister is answerable for that, but this cannot be questioned in the any court of law. That is why it is taken as these are not legally enforceable in any court of law. Only these are the guidelines for the government to guide or to instruct how to make the laws and rules for the welfare of the nation. What are various directive principles of state policies? It is beautifully defined, declared in part number 4 of our constitution with 16 articles, serial number from 36 to 51. So let us study one by one. First one, what is the definition of state? State means what? State means here it is nation. Direct principle of state means direct principle of nation, our country, and it is defined in the article number 36. Second one, obligation of the state to apply directive principles in making law. So the government should be having the obligation, it should be responsible, it should be committed to apply the directive principles when it is framing the rules, laws or and policies. Okay, it is declared in the article number 37. Next, third one, to provide obligation to provide livelihood to all citizens of India. So that means the government should provide the livelihood, means it should provide equal work, equal pay, payment and good health and good strength to the workers. So this is known as a livelihood. Okay. Next, fourth one, social order based on justice. So there must be a social justice irrespective of caste, religion, creed, sex. So there must be equal justice, and also there should be free legal aid to economically weaker classes. So this means, suppose if there is a poor people, in such cases, they suppose if they face any problems, so they will not be having the amount to fight against it in the court of law. So in such cases the government should give assistance. Aid means sahaya madudu. So they have to pay the amount what is actually spent on that case. So this is nothing but free legal aid to the economically weaker classes, means poor people ಗೆ help ಮಾಡೋದು, government ಇಂದ help ಮಾಡೋದು in such cases. And next, organization of village panchayats. So organization of village panchayat means the villages should be also developed. So the development of villages is made by framing the panchayats. So that is established, panchayats are established so that the villages can be developed. So this will indirectly help to develop the nation. Next, employment, education and public assistance to all citizens. So this means, so every citizens of India should get the job. So that is employment opportunity should be provided from the government, and everyone should be educated, and also every public should get the assistance from the government in certain cases. So public assistance means, for example, remuneration, ವೃದ್ಧಾಪ್ಯ ವೇತನ, ಏಜ್ ಆದವರಿಗೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಪಿಂಚಣಿ ಕೊಡುವುದು, ವೃದ್ಧಾಪ್ಯ ವೇತನ, ಅಥವಾ ವಿಧವೆ ಜನರಿಗೆ ವಿಧವಾ ವೇತನ. ಆಮೇಲೆ in some situations like nowadays COVID situation we are facing, so in such cases some of them will be losing their jobs. ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಜನರು ಕೆಲಸ ಕಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಅಂಥವ್ರಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಪ್ಯಾಕೇಜ್ ಘೋಷಣೆ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಇಂತಿಷ್ಟು ತಿಂಗಳ ಒಂದು 4,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ 5,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಅಂತ ಪ್ಯಾಕೇಜ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ದವರು, ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ದವರು ಘೋಷಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ is taken as a public assistance to all citizens, so that they should not suffer in the life because of very critical situations. So this is declared in the directive principle. Next comes living wage for the workers. Living wage means kanishta vetana, kanishta kuli. So to lead a life, ಒಂದು ನಾವು ಜೀವನ ಸಾಗಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಕನಿಷ್ಠ ಎಷ್ಟು ಸ್ಯಾಲರಿ ಬೇಕಲ್ಲ. ಈಗ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ಒಂದು 20,000, 15 to 20,000 ಅಂತೂ ಬೇಕೇ ಬೇಕು ಲೈಫ್ ಲೀಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ. ಸೊ ಅಷ್ಟು ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ಸ್ಯಾಲರಿ ವರ್ಕರ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡುವಂತ ಪ್ರೊವಿಷನ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ನರೇಗಾ ಯೋಜನೆ ಅಂತ ನೀವು ಕೇಳಿರ್ಬೋದು. ನರೇಗಾ ಯೋಜನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಲೈಫ್ ಲೀಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಕೂಲಿ ಕೊಡಬೇಕಲ್ಲ ಅದನ್ನ ಅವರು ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಬಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಸೇಮ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಕಂಪನೀಸ್, ಬಟ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಫಾಲೋವಿಂಗ್ this scheme, that is living wage for workers in those schemes provided by the government. I think it is clear for you students. Next principle is participation of workers in management of industries. What it means? So in industries, while making the laws, rules, policies from the management, the worker should be also taken as the member of the management, so that they can give the suggestion, opinion for framing the rules and regulation in the management for the industries. Okay. Next, Uniform Civil Code. Uniform Civil Code means in Kannada, Ekarupa Nagarika Samhite. So, yeah, what actually this means is, so in India there are multi-religions, variety of religions we are having: Hindu, Christ, Muslim, Buddha. So these all religions are having different laws for different cases. So for example, marriage laws are different in Muslim and Hindu, divorce laws are different, and some other civil laws are different according to religion. They are having different laws in the code, but this is not a desirable. So what the directive principle tells, so every citizen of India should have the same law irrespective of the religion, caste, creed, sex. So this is actually required from the directive principle, but it is very difficult in our country because it is a multicultural, multi-religious, so it is very difficult to implement. Okay, but it is good to have a uniform law for all the religions. Okay. Next, free and compulsory education for children. So this means what? Every children of the age 6 to 14, already we are having the Sarva Shikshana Abhiyana. Sarva Shikshana Abhiyanadadi ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಫ್ರೀ ಆಗಿ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಕೊಡೋದು, ಫ್ರೀ ಆಗಿ ಊಟ ಕೊಡೋದು, ಮಧ್ಯಾಹ್ನ ಬಿಸಿ ಊಟ. ಸೊ ಇದು ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಸಿಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಸೊ ಇದನ್ನ ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗ್ತೈತಿ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ದವರು. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ ಬೈ ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟೆಡ್. ಅಂಡ್ ನೌ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸಿ ದಟ್ ಇನ್ ಅಂಗನವಾಡಿ ಆಲ್ಸೋ, ಅಂಗನವಾಡಿ ಒಳಗೂ ಸಣ್ಣ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ 6 ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಫ್ರೀ ಆಗಿ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಕೊಡೋದು ಅಲ್ಲದೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಫ್ರೀ ಆಗಿ ಊಟನೂ ಎಲ್ಲಾನು ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ step by step implemented, that is free and compulsory education for the children. And also it has become a right of the children to get the education, free education. This has been converted into rights of the children. Next, promotion of educational and economic interest of the weaker section. So this means weaker section means who are weak economically, ಎಕನಾಮಿಕಲಿ ಪುವರ್ ಇದ್ದವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಎಕನಾಮಿಕಲಿ. ಹೌ? ಬೈ ಗಿವಿಂಗ್ ದ ರಿಸರ್ವೇಶನ್. So reservation policies are implemented by the government, both central government and state government, just for their promotion in case of educational and also in economically they should be developed. So just by giving the reservation for them, they can be improved. Okay. Next, raising the level of nutrition and standard of living and improvement of the public health. So this nutrition means ಪೌಷ್ಟಿಕವಾದ ಆಹಾರ ಕೊಡೋದು. ಸೊ ಜನರ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ, ಅವರ ಲಿವಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟೈಲ್ ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ, ಅವರಿಗೆ ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ ಏನು ಬೇಕಲ್ಲ ಅದನ್ನು ಪ್ರೊವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡೋದು. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಕೀಮ್ ಇದೆ ನೋಡ್ರಿ, ಅದು ಅನ್ನಭಾಗ್ಯ ಯೋಜನೆ, ನಿಮ್ಗೆಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತಿದ್ದು ಹಂಗೆ ಫ್ರೀ ಆಗಿ ಅಕ್ಕಿ ಕೊಡೋದು, ಫ್ರೀ ಆಗಿ ಬೇಳೆ ಕೊಡೋದು. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ directive principle. Next, organization of agriculture and animal husbandry on modern and scientific lines. So here agriculture and animal husbandry means ಕೃಷಿ ಮತ್ತು ಪಶು ಸಂಗೋಪನಾ ಸಂಘಟನೆ. ಸೊ ಕೃಷಿ ಮತ್ತು ಪಶು ಸಂಗೋಪನೆಯನ್ನು ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿಪಡಿಸೋದು. ಸೊ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಬೈ ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ ಸಮ್ ಮಾಡರ್ನ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಸೈಂಟಿಫಿಕ್ ಲೈನ್ಸ್. ಸೊ nowadays the technology is improved a lot, and making use of the modern technology, scientific technology, some improvements can be made in the agriculture field so that we can get the more and more growth in the agriculture field and also animal husbandry, that is Krushi Sangopana Sangatane. Okay. Next, protection and improvement of environment and safeguarding of forest and wildlife. So this means we need to protect the environment. The government should give the the government should look at the protection of the government, it should improve that. And also safeguard the forest and wildlife, that is very important. Forest andre ಗೊತ್ತಿದ್ದಂಗೆ ಅರಣ್ಯ ಮತ್ತೆ ವೈಲ್ಡ್ ಲೈಫ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ವನ್ಯಜೀವಿಗಳ ಸಂರಕ್ಷಣೆ ಮಾಡೋದು. So this is also one of the directive principle, important one. Next, protection of monuments and places and objects of national importance. So monuments ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸ್ಮಾರಕಗಳು. ಸೊ ಒಂದು ನಮ್ಮ ನೇಷನ್ ರಿಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡುವಂತಹ ಸ್ಮಾರಕಗಳು ಇದಾವೆ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ. ಈಗ ತಾಜ್ ಮಹಲ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಗೋಲ್ ಗುಂಬಜ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ನಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಹಂಪೆ, ಬೇಲೂರು, ಹಳೆಬೀಡಲ್ಲಿ ಸೋ ಮೆನಿ ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್ ಮಾನ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್. ಸೊ ದೇ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್. ಸಮ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸಸ್ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್, ಸಮ್ ಆಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ವಸ್ತುಗಳು. ಸೊ ಅವು ಎಲ್ಲ ನೇಷನಲ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಅವು ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದ ಒಂದು ಗುರುತಾಗಿರ್ತಾವು. ಸೊ ಈಗ ತಾಜ್ ಮಹಲ್ ತಗೊಳ್ರಿ, ಗೋಲ್ ಗುಂಬಜ್ ತಗೊಳ್ರಿ, so popular they are. So those things should be protected from the government. So they represent our nation. Okay. Next, separation of judiciary from executive. So as you know that the judiciary is an independent body. So the government should not interfere with the judiciary. So this is also one of the directive principle, that is the judiciary should be separated from the executive. There should not be any interference. Next, promotion of international peace and security. So international peace ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದ ಹಾಗೆ ಇದು ಅಂತಾರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಶಾಂತಿ. this is obtained from becoming a member of Vishwa Samsthe. So our India is one of the member of Vishwa Samsthe. So that will strive, it will work for international peace and security. So this is also one of the directive principle of the state. Okay. So I think all the various principles are clear for you students. Okay. Next we study what is government, what actually it means. Government is a body of elected people in democracy that govern a nation. So as we all know about democracy, it is a Prajaprabhutva in Kannada. Prajaprabhutva ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಪ್ರಜೆಗಳಿಂದ ಪ್ರಜೆಗಳಿಗಾಗಿ ಪ್ರಜೆಗಳಿಗೋಸ್ಕರ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಮಾಡೋದನ್ನು ಡೆಮೋಕ್ರಾಟಿಕ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಇನ್ that type of government, it will be having a body ಅಂದ್ರೆ group of members, and those all members will be elected by the people through the election process, and they form the government, and that government will run the nation, that government will govern the nation. So indirectly the people are governing the nation. That is why it is called as a democratic government. The Constitution of India has provided a scope for the creation of state and central governments. So in our India, so we have two types of government: state government, state-wise; central government, one central government at the center of the nation. Okay, next, what are the important organs of government? There are main three important organs of government. Those are legislature, executive, judiciary. Legislature, what it does? It makes the law. Executive organ, it implements the law. Judiciary, it interprets the law. Okay, let us see it in detail. Let us study the important organs of the government with the help of this picture. So in the central government, we have three organs, mainly executive, legislative and judiciary. Executive consists of president, vice president and cabinet ministers in the center. Legislature of parliament, it consists of Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. Judiciary, it consists of Supreme Court of India. What each of the organ does, what is the responsibility of them? Here, the executive will pass the laws made by the legislature. So the legislature, actually Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha members, they will make the laws, and these laws made by the legislature organ are passed by the executive members. Then these laws checked, they are interpreted by the judiciary organ. So it has its own responsibility. It is an independent organ, as we all know about it. to solve the conflicts between the executive and legislature. So if there are any conflicts between these two organs, those are solved. If there are any problems between executive organ and legislative organ, and these conflicts are solved by this judiciary. And also other public related matters, so public related problems, cases, they are also solved in the judiciary. So here one more thing what you should know is judiciary is an independent organ, and these executives and legislative they cannot interfere with the judiciary. They cannot influence the judiciary. So it is known as an independent organ. So I think it is clear for you, dear students, the important organs of the government. Okay, till now we have studied a very important topics. Those are directive principles of state and important organs of the government. I think it is clear for you, dear students. Thank you.